Welcome home to USA Global TV and Radio, a place where dreams take flight, with authentic storytelling, diverse perspectives and meaningful conversations, where global stories unite and bridges are built beyond all borders. Discover world-class education, entertainment, hope and inspiration. Together, we're building bridges worldwide. Subscribe to our channel, USA Global TV. Download our app, USA Global TV. Be our guest or join our team. Visit usaglobaltv.com. Thanks to our founder and executive producer, Dr. Jacqueline Kerbeck. Music score by Yeffy Tang from Cloud Road Music. Voiceover artist Mike Porter. Creative direction by Paul Garcia. USA Global TV and Radio. Your home for global connection. All rights reserved. This video and its contents are the exclusive property of USA Global TV and Radio. Unauthorized use, duplication or redistribution in any form is strictly prohibited.
Good afternoon, everyone, and happy Monday. I'm Julie Ann Mejia, the CEO and founder of the Holistic Hemp Solutions. If and when, please check out our segment here on USA Global TV and Radio, The Holistic Alternative, where we host a variety of beautiful guests. Today, we have Tyler Williams joining with us today. Tyler, thank you so much for taking time out of your busy schedule to be with us. I know you're out on the road working. Thank you for being here today.
Yeah, no problem. I am super excited to be here. Thanks for having me, and happy Plant Medicine Holidays 420.
Happy 420 to you, my friend. It's great to talk with you. You and I have been hosting on other podcasts talking about psychedelics today, and I really wanted to showcase, your work in the community and just have a beautiful conversation about plant and fungi medicines for patients today.
Awesome. Yeah, I'm excited, and I know we got a lot to talk about too. So.
Absolutely. If you wouldn't mind, would you share a little bit about how you got into supporting plant and fungi medicines for the viewers today watching?
Yeah. So it's like a long story. I'll try to keep it pretty short, but it really started for me back in middle school. Like the first time I smoked weed, I was just so surprised by how like benign and like helpful it was for like my issues after all the dare horror stories and everything. And so like during that first time, I just kind of got fixated on like, why is this illegal? And so I kept asking my buddy, and for like a 13-year-old, he was like pretty streetwise. So he was like telling me all about like the petrochemical industry and the racism and anti-war efforts and all of that sort of stuff. And we even like got on, I don't even know if Google was around at that time, like early search engine days, like 2003, like doing research of like, why is this illegal? And, it was a little harder to do research on the internet back then, but we were able to like really find some stuff. And I just immediately started telling everybody about it and like how messed up that it was illegal. And, that next year, 8th grade, I was in like an advanced program, and we were doing like a debate topic, and I think it was like capital punishment. But then when we got done with that unit, they were like, hey, does anybody want to do like a debate for fun? And I was like, hey, legalization of marijuana. And they were like, oh, okay. It's like, anybody want to be on that debate with Tyler? And the teachers probably didn't know as much as some of my friends in the class did at that point. But yeah, several friends signed up, and I ended up like winning this debate as an 8th grader in Kansas. And so that like really emboldened me to just immediately start talking to everybody, teachers, friends. Like I was always the kid in school where they'd be like, hey, we're going to do persuasive paper, but you can't do legalization of marijuana. And after class, I'd go up to the teacher and be like, hey, like, let me do legalization of marijuana, and start like dropping some research I'd already done. And always got to do it, even though nobody else was allowed to. So yeah, I kind of just had a natural gift for this kind of work, I guess. And so, in Kansas, that was kind of limited to what I could do campaign wise. Kansas is like pretty like stifling environment, right? And so a lot of that work was just like kind of like shamanistic, direct experience, giving a lot of people their first cannabis experience, which, I don't know how I feel about that these days, but like I was really excited to be that person through middle school, high school, into college. And then in college, I was also like really involved, obviously, with like the enhanced program. And I was in a fraternity. I was part of the Formula One team at K-State. But this organization of Students for Sensible Drug Policy kind of came across my desk, so to speak. And they were like looking at starting a chapter there. And so I was like trying to get a hold of them, and that never really worked out. But I ended up transferring to CU Boulder, and they had a chapter. And so I was like reaching out to them, like weekly emails, messages, like whatever I could, not getting like really any response. But then that next summer, I got a call from a grad student, Phil, who said like, hey, yeah, like you're interested in this, like let's meet up. And he showed up at my house with a box of like tabling supplies, and he was like, all right, you're in charge. And
That's awesome.
yeah, it was really, really cool. So restarted that chapter, and this was in 2011. So that next year, after struggling to get people in Colorado interested in doing drug policy stuff, because it's so progressive and has been for a long time on that stuff, they decided, hey, let's try to legalize cannabis for recreational use for adult. It was marijuana is safer than alcohol, regulate like alcohol, a lot of like the little talking points and stuff. And so because I was in charge of this organization in Boulder, I became like the guy to go to. I was organizing dozens of volunteers in Boulder, college students, and like with the fraternity stuff, I had like good cat herding skills.
That's awesome.
Which, yeah, really worked out well with like the volunteers and like getting people motivated, just like finding people who are already interested in this and like giving them a reason to do it, And so that was really successful, so successful. I was introduced to the coordinator for the Northern Colorado, Emmett Reistroffer, and we became really good friends. And he taught me almost everything I know about campaigns over the next couple of years. And it was just like so impactful. I remember being at Red Rocks with him getting signatures, and he like afterwards he's like, bro, you really inspired me to like do this work. And I was like, what? Like, bro, you're like the boss, like you got me involved. And so it was just like really cool relationship. And like shout out to him, he's running for city or not city council, I think state representative in South Dakota right now, District 35. So if you're out there, vote for Emmett. And
So that's amazing. You essentially helped bring legalization to Colorado. And then let's talk a little bit about your development of the Psychedelic Club of Denver. How did that come about? Everybody wants to know about that.
Yeah. So I was involved with Students for Sensible Drug Policy for probably too long. But when I was like graduating, I was living in Denver, and through Students for Sensible Drug Policy, I had met some other organizers on campus who basically were trying to restart Timothy Leary's Harvard Psychedelic Club and kind of follow that tradition of like education and peer support around psychedelics. And I was like, Denver needs this like super bad. There's so many people that, are having crazy experiences at Red Rocks or, just out in the wild. And like, for me, I needed just like help with integration, which was like really, hadn't really been a big thing back in 2016. And so we really focused in on kind of that area of like, how do we come together and talk about these experiences? But, there's a lot of movie club and book club and all sorts of activities, speakers, people like just presenting on their own stuff, which was super cool, people growing weed and other things and like giving resources to the community was just like really cool. And like one of the first things that we had talked about, my buddy Richard Danley, who's like a really good author on energy work, in like one of those first meetings when we were just talking about like what could we do, said like we should decriminalize mushrooms. And like nobody had like really thought about that at that point. And you know how things get, just busy, that kind of got shelved. But then kind of a funny story, that next year I was like super convinced I was going to be part of the 27 Club and was looking to not be. So I'm like going through my old journals and notes, and I like find this idea like decriminalize mushrooms. And so yeah, I
Help
was
started
like
the
thinking through it,
yeah.
and just loved how it like continued the conversation from cannabis, of like cannabis at that time was getting like a little taken over by like Philip Morris and some of these people that are like putting poisons in the medicine. And so I was like, well, how do we like refocus the conversation? And just realized like, you know, fungi is like a whole kingdom of life. There's thousands of mushrooms that'll kill you, but none of those are legal to grow, to possess. Obviously you can't like feed it to somebody and kill somebody, but you know, there's no issue with that kind of stuff. Whereas like the illegal mushrooms are the ones that are helping people, healing people, and have like a long tradition of doing that. And so I was like, yeah, let's do this. And I'm a big law of attraction guy, so I sat down and kind of lived in the future, which what I thought was like maybe 20 years in the future at that time, of like, if I were to walk into a mushroom dispensary, what would that look like? And I was doing all this kind of stuff. And I went out to the Oregon Eclipse. I met with the couple, I can't remember their name off the top of my head, that was doing getting ready for like a campaign in Oregon, and watched their presentation, met up with them afterwards. They were super generous and everything. And so, yeah, we got it started. Kevin Matthews, whose name you'll see a lot more in relation to that campaign, reached out to me and said he was interested. Seemed really eager. So I was like, yeah, let's meet up. We went to a coffee shop next to my house, and he showed up like looking super sharp, notepad, pen, taking good notes, asking good questions. And before the hour was up, I was like, hey bro, you want to be my co-campaign manager? And so we were kind of splitting responsibilities, and got to the point of like, I need to kind of step back from this. I'm like, it's tough to be famous. You know, like I wouldn't wish it on my worst enemy. But I had to kind of like step back, and I was like, bro, like, you're going to be the campaign manager. You got this. I'll be there every step of the way. You know, I'm going to still be getting signatures and helping out. You can ask me any questions, but like, you're put together. Like, you can do this. And so we ran a great campaign. Travis Tyler Fluck is another individual that I met through that campaign. Super cool. Would probably be a good guest for you as well, but not as well known and like out in public as like Kevin Matthews and I. So yeah, shout out to Travis.
Well, that's awesome. So you started the Psychedelic Club of Denver. You really pushed for legalization for safe access for these fungi and for plant medicine throughout the state of Colorado. That's incredible. So people that are watching today that have no idea what a psychedelic is, let's do some educational fun stuff you and I are used to doing. Let's talk about what is a psychedelic for people.
Yeah, I like to just look at the word itself, like the etymology, like psychedelic literally is like knowing your mind. And so there's also like, you know, understanding your soul and some of these other like translations too. But that's kind of the root of it for me, is like, it's an opportunity to work with yourself with these medicines. They like help facilitate some of the stuff that your body does naturally in like a way that kind of speeds things up. and just really a good time. Like it was better.
Absolutely. No, I think a lot of people find, just even talking about, psychedelics from a fungi perspective, psilocybin is tremendously helpful. I mean, we've done a ton of research on it. We've seen how it helps increase serotonin and dopamine levels on a natural capacity where, patients have tried every pharmaceutical, it's failed them. They've had suicidal ideologies from taking some of those synthetics. They're not doing well, and then they try these, and it's like a whole new world is open for them.
Yeah.
Maybe you could touch a little bit upon working with patients or hearing patient stories with some of these capacities. It's amazing, the benefit.
It really is. And I definitely encourage everybody to get like the anecdotal stuff from people that you know. I'm just somebody on the internet, but like there's people in your life that are doing this, have access to these things, experience with these things, and they know you better than I do. So I definitely would say like talk to them about their personal stories, and then also do the research. There's, like you're saying, tons of clinical evidence, and that's kind of like, I feel like, a good transition into what just happened with the executive order to help promote psychedelic assisted therapy, essentially.
Yes. So,
You
what are
saw
your
that.
thoughts on all of that? I haven't divulged deeply into the legislation yet. It was kind of just mulled over like late last week, and I'm like, what happened? So, yeah, it's been a busy weekend. I'd love to hear, your thoughts on kind of, what the nitty gritty looks like on that policy work.
Yeah, definitely. I have a lot of thoughts on a lot of the policy. There's stuff going on, some really good stuff all over the country. And this, though, I'm a little, it's like a pain point for me in a lot of ways. And, towards the end, I'm going to get more like hopeful, action oriented. But um, one thing that you realize in psychedelics is like a meme is like everything's connected. And so when you are dealing with medicine people, you want to like, is this person trying to heal me, or is this person want me to be addicted? And I don't think anybody that was in the Oval Office during that discussion is, well, maybe Joe Rogan, but he's got his own problems. Is really like looking to heal people and help people. I think they're looking at the profit motivation. Cannabis, which only in 2014, oh, sorry, getting a call, became legal, has passed $25 billion in tax revenue. So I think they're looking at stuff like that and saying, hey, we're trying to fund these wars and do all the other bad stuff. Maybe this can help. And so I am nervous that it's really just kind of trying to pass this off to the pharmaceuticals. We've seen a lot of discussion about that in the communities, and people worrying that like it's exploitative. Like people have carried these medicines for thousands of years, and over the last several decades, almost a century now, this has been totally taboo and just not for people. And I think the elites, are having access to this stuff, but it's
No, I couldn't agree
been.
more. I think, a lot of the stuff that gets legalized, right? There's ulterior motives on the back end that we have no idea about. We have no idea what pushed this forward. If there's a big pharmaceutical company that synthesized ibogaine or some of the stuff that they're, pushing forward. So it makes you question and wonder what their thoughts are on how to roll this out in an effective way where patients are getting the best quality, supportive, not only medications, but integrations as well. Because again, no one talks about that, right? After using these products and how that relates going back to your daily life.
Yes, yes, so much. Integration's so important. I think some people need to maybe like hang up the phone and do like a little less, but I think for everybody, taking these experiences where your brain is the connections in your brain are just working better. I mean, sometimes your brain is growing from these medicines, and they are just so incredible. Sorry, I'm a little um, at a loss of like
It's hard
where
to
I was going with
explain.
that.
It's hard to explain, but like exactly what you're saying, from a cognitive neuroscience perspective, you're creating new synapsal connections, new firings, new areas of pattern and um, essentially activation to your brain where some parts have never been activated, and they do get activated with psychedelic therapies.
Yeah, definitely. And so I think, I'm hoping it's going to be a good thing. I'm just super nervous, and I think it's important that we have discussions around, how this stuff could be better. So you were talking a little bit about how we don't know. I've done a bunch of research. I do know a good amount of stuff on these. And so I would point people first to whitehouse.gov. They've got a fact sheet up. I also haven't read the language of the executive order, which isn't, what was the word you used?
Well, it's over
The
100 pages. None of us have read it yet. So,
Oh, really? Okay.
yeah, I think the full order is like crazy long. So it takes me a while to digest and then go through each page. So for me, I haven't had a chance and an opportunity to do it yet. But
Yeah.
it's just a lot to digest and uncover. So you're
And
out west right now and you're doing some activism work right now. Can you tell us a little bit about what you're working on? You're doing an active campaign right now. I see you in your car. You're
oh
dressed
my gosh.
for
Yeah.
meeting
I'm
people.
like,
Thank you for joining us today. I know this is a crazy time for you.
yeah, no worries. Yeah, I mean, there's a lot of issues. I'm in California. I'm in San Diego, Chicano Park, beautiful. But there are so many issues. The main one I came out here for is the billionaire tax. I think right priorities, money, all that kind of stuff. United States is technically insolvent, uh, so we need more money, and so trying to tax billionaires. And it's crazy. Everybody's like telling me, "Oh, the billionaires are going to leave," but Elon Musk, who I thought left California, is running two campaigns to try to stop being taxed as a billionaire. And I don't think those are necessarily bad ideas, but not this year. It's like a one-time up to 5% tax on assets over $1 billion. 90% of that money going to healthcare, the other 10% to SNAP and like food assistance programs and education programs. So super super good cause. No reason they can't help out with that sort of stuff, especially after Elon Musk promised to like feed everybody if somebody came up with a plan for it and then just bought Twitter instead. Like, you know.
Yeah, I do know. I don't know any of them personally. I'm not going to comment personally on knowing anybody, but it's again, it's what the media and what people put out. Like it's not the best. It's not the best. It's hard to know what's real too with what's being reported and stuff too. But at the end of the
Yeah.
day, I don't see the issue in it. Why wouldn't people that make a higher amount want to support the community? I don't see what the problem is.
Yeah, I mean, they're just extractive. To have $1 billion, you have to be a certain kind of person, and they're not interested in helping out the community. I think
No,
that's kind
I get
of
it.
what it comes down to. But can we go back to the executive order? Because I have
Yes, I would love to continue
based like
talking about
the the
that.
the bullet points, yeah, from whitehouse.gov.
Yeah,
So
let's
the biggest
dissect it,
thing,
man.
the biggest thing, like I said, is really trying to improve the psychedelic assisted therapy. What's going on with it? So basically, ordering the FDA to create another fast lane for breakthrough therapies, which doesn't include ibogaine, which was like a big. Everybody was talking about ibogaine at the thing, but I guess they have it included in the language somewhere. That's like a whole other thing we can get into, but which is weird because this breakthrough designation that the FDA has already put on these studies is a fast track lane, saying, hey, we recognize that this could be super helpful. Some of these studies, they're coming out with 90% efficacy, which is just like insane with these mental health treatments. And so they're trying to fast track it is like the biggest thing. They're also trying to increase access to people. This is like one of the few things I think Trump did right in his first term, but it was legislation called Right to Try. We've had it in Colorado for a long time. It's great. It works. But basically, if you are terminally ill or have like an illness like treatment resistant depression where lethality could be an issue, and there's medication that's in FDA trials that's in phase 3 or maybe phase 2 even, then you don't have to join the clinical study. You can just find this stuff on the street and again, know your medicine, people. But you can have direct access to these things. So they really want to expand that program as well. They are putting money into it. It's only $50 million though. And it's, RFK Jr. who's bathing in sewage and doing all this other crazy stuff is the one who's in charge of giving that money out. So again, Kennedy, obviously an insider. That's where my worry comes from that. And again, only $50 million. Trump right now is trying to sue the IRS $10 billion, which is 200 times more money, priorities, right? And then
real quick.
The other ones, oh, my sheet's not set up well, but I know they were on to increase veteran access specifically. And that's like getting them involved in these clinical trials, making sure that people who are interested in studying those populations are getting pushed to the front of the line, sort of thing. And then just, kind of removing some red tape, which is, again, we know they're effective, but the course of the medicine and getting access to the medicine matters. And so with this breakthrough designation, you probably heard of MDMA, getting that was like the big one. And we thought, back in the 20-teens, when it was first given this like breakthrough designation, like, oh, any day now. And 2020 came around, 2021, and it was like 2024 before they were like, oh, we can't do this because there's ethical issues where providers are basically sexually assaulting people who are looking for help. And, the funders of the study knew about it and weren't taking appropriate steps. And so there's like these big ethical issues. And so, if we get rid of the red tape that keeps those things safe, it breeds more of that into the thing, right? So we don't want that. We should keep the red tape in place.
When we're talking, veterans and people that have served our country and they have post-traumatic stress disorder from combat and stuff like that. I mean, let's talk a little bit about how we support people that have trauma. How do we protect people with trauma?
Oh man, that is a whole can of worms.
It is, right? Because exactly your point, right? This gets in the wrong hands. You have the wrong people trying to essentially put it out to the world, and they have, the bad, poor intentions. So it's like, how do we negate that? How do we
they want you to be addicted. They're creating more trauma. I mean, I think that believe all women is like a big piece of that. Is like, you got to believe victims. And I know that there's, some he said, she said, and stuff like that, where it gets complicated, but supporting victims first is the big thing. Like, I've been studying transformative justice a lot lately, and like the whole idea is to remove the system that is creating the violence. And so, a lot of this like patriarchy and classism and racism and all this other stuff really can perpetuate trauma, and people who are trying to heal, like, make them hurt them instead of heal them. And so getting them what they need is kind of like the next step. Are you hungry? Are you thirsty? Do you need a place to sleep? Some of this, like, just basic stuff to help get them stable enough where they can start addressing these issues. And then, working on the tool belt, essentially, and the coping skills. And then, once you've kind of got a lot of that stuff figured out, then psychedelic assisted therapy becomes a really good option, because you have the space and the time to go deep within yourself with, somebody who hopefully is well trained and looking out for you, and work on this stuff. Just let your body do what it already wants to do, which is heal and be free and do the things.
No, absolutely. And these help with that, right? They help the masks come off and help dig deep for some of the people that, they're putting them, burying different traumas and stuff. It brings stuff out that they haven't dealt with. So it
Yeah.
can be very therapeutic. But again, to your point, you have to have the right practitioners helping that have the right mindset to actually do no harm for patients, that they're trained properly. They have the correct, substances. Not all products are created equal, as you know. So
Yeah.
that's the biggest thing is finding safe access to good products too. I think that's a big other piece of this red tape that makes it impossible for patients to get the help that they need.
Yeah. Unfortunately, that is a lot of the times the case. And, not everybody can afford $10,000 for an overnight stay, for a mushroom therapy session. Or iboga is like a much more intensive, up to like 3 days minimum, that you're like in the space and working through stuff. And, it just, some of the costs get like really out of hand. And so I think, part of that 50 million and tax revenue that's coming in from this kind of stuff, like, needs to be given back to helping people who can't access it, who don't have the money, who, maybe would be in jail if they can't have access, or some other place where they can't be contributing members to the community. Making sure that those people are taken care of as well.
No, those are great points. And it's crazy. We've flown by the segment. Like, we have 7 minutes left of the segment. It's crazy. Talk to us a little bit about some of the work that you're doing. I know you're doing some wellness coaching as well to help people. Let's talk about some of the work that you're doing now and how people can get in touch with you. If it's not just for information about psychedelics and helping pursue in their states.
Yeah, I'm hard to work with. I got to be honest. I don't take on too many new clients. Like I said, I've had like some bad experiences in the past with that kind of stuff, and so, like, I'm pretty selective about who I work with in that avenue. But I'm always down to give out information. Places that you can go. Psychedelic Club of Denver has a really good Facebook page that has all sorts of information. Still to this day, Marijuana Movement, I believe it's called, is a really good resource for what's going on, like, legislatively. And that's like probably more where I can have a bigger impact and help more people get access rather than coming to me directly. If you're interested in decriminalization, legalization, medical models, doing something in your local community, because there's like these federal policies going on, but that's not going to change your life. You can go to a city council meeting and you can affect the parking, you can affect the liquor licenses, you can affect like the local community on a much realer level. So if you come to me for access, I'm probably going to talk about, like, okay, what can we do to, like, make sure your community is getting access? Do we do like in Denver, where we did like a petition and we, scraped together $50,000 to run this really lean volunteer grassroots campaign. Oakland, a couple of weeks after that passed, took like 40 people down to city council meeting and said, hey, let's talk about psychedelics. And by the end of that night, the city council voted unanimously to decriminalize a lot of different plant medicines. And so there's all these different ways that we can, get access and create community and like help bring in people who are already doing this stuff. Because people are growing mushrooms, people are manufacturing LSD, people are doing this stuff clandestine. They've been for a long time, and we can give them an opportunity to make it legitimate and have the red tape where, the criminal element isn't moving in, but the people who are really doing good work have the opportunity to help in a way that, they can advertise in the newspaper or, have a dispensary on the corner that you can just walk into and get the medicine. And I know that's not the quick, I just want to try some mushrooms sort of thing.
No,
but that's
and it shouldn't be. It shouldn't be though, right? It should be a
exactly
therapeutic kind of guided step point where people are making informed decisions. They're not doing things on the cuff. And again, that's what legalization should be, right? That we have safe access, that people can go to a shop and talk to a human being about what to experience, what to expect, how much to take. And that doesn't exist yet, not here, not in the US, right?
Denver has some mushroom dispensaries. They are, really good, but you kind of got to know somebody. So again, if you want to reach out to me, this is my handle across all my social media. Also, if you want to support the cause, I could really use some help right now with PayPal, Venmo, Cash App, that kind of stuff. Same handle. And I mean, like my email is tylerjoewilliams@gmail, JOE spelled out. My work number is 720-460-0803. I'm like pretty accessible, but I expect people to kind of work for it because that leads to the best results, like you're saying.
No, absolutely. And I appreciate it. Thank you so much for all the years of activism and legislation and just putting this plant and, the fungi out there for people to learn more about and benefit from. I think this is a human rights violation. Our ancestors have, consumed these plant medicines, these fungi medicines for thousands of years, and just prohibition just cut it off, so it's a really hard thing from the humanistic perspective to watch, and it's sad to see people suffer without having safe access. So thank you. I commend all the work that you're doing. It's really important, and it's been an honor and a privilege just to have you and to talk today about what you're doing and building. So thank you.
Yeah, no problem. Also working on like a bunch of mushroom campaigns across the Midwest. So, if you're in the Midwest, definitely reach out to me about that. Can I do like a quick like lightning round of some cool stuff that's going on in policy?
I would love that. Yeah, let's end the show with that. Let's hear it, man.
Cool. So Trump's executive order is about breakthrough therapy. Some of those, there's 3 separate psilocybin trials that are designated as breakthrough therapy, pretty much all for depression, major depression, and treatment-resistant depression. The MDMA stuff is still going on, looking to treat post-traumatic stress disorder. This one I think is really cool. An LSD study, you might have heard about 2 years ago, they found an LSD analog, which is like a pretty similar chemical that's non-psychoactive, but still has a lot of the brain chemistry benefits. So some really exciting stuff to look forward to in that. I did want to talk a little bit about like cannabis rescheduling, descheduling, but you had Jason on recently in December. He talked a lot about that. Some really good work that he's continuing to do. Yep. So some of the local stuff is really important. So yeah, Marijuana Moment is actually what that site's called, and they post, I swear, it's like 10 things daily about different states, different cities that are doing this stuff. And just a couple of them, Louisiana is taking the money from the opioid settlement, Sacklers and Purdue Pharma, that's an interesting story, to create a psychedelic therapy pilot program. Of course, I don't have it all set up, but
no, Tyler, that's great. That's perfect. I appreciate you so much for taking time out of your busy schedule, especially on the road working. Thank you for being here today, and we appreciate you so much.
Yes, thank you so much for having me. I know we've been trying to do this for a while, and I'm so honored to be here on 420. Just really, honestly humbled, and so thank you so much for having this space and doing this work. It's so important.
Thank you, Tyler. You have the best day. Happy 420 to you, and we'll definitely hear from you again soon. Take care.
Yeah, happy 420. I'm gonna go smoke some weed.
Take care. Have a great one. Thank you guys for tuning in today. Tune in for another beautiful segment in a few weeks. Have the best day and spread love. Take care.
How much of your value have you been giving away? Saying yes when the answer should have been no? Lowering your price to secure the opportunity? Giving more while receiving less? Over time, it adds up. Until one moment brings clarity, you've been giving away your value. This is not about working harder. This is not about doing more. It's about boundaries. It's about pricing. It's about respect. From Dr. Jacqueline Kerbeck comes a direct and necessary message. Stop over-delivering. Stop underpricing your expertise. Stop negotiating against yourself. Because when you recognize your value, everything changes. Stop giving away your value. Boundaries, pricing, and the business of respect. Available now wherever fine books are sold and on Amazon. A film by USA Global TV and Radio. Executive producer Dr. Jacqueline Kerbeck. Videographer and cinematic production Paul Garcia. Voiceover by Ed Vargas. Stop giving it away. Start owning it.
What if one simple skill could change the way you connect with the world? What if listening could open doors to deeper relationships, stronger businesses, and a better you? Dr. Jacqueline Kerbeck, the Listening Mentor, brings you USA Global TV and Radio, a space where voices are heard, ideas are shared, and global communities thrive. Through the elevated listeners' courses and books, you'll master the power of listening, set boundaries with confidence, and transform conversations into opportunities. Join us. Listen, learn, elevate. Whether you're a leader, a coach, a business owner, or someone seeking stronger connections, your journey starts today. Subscribe, learn, and transform today.
Thank you, viewers and listeners of USA Global TV and Radio, for joining us today. We're honoured to have your time and attention as part of our global community. At USA Global TV and Radio, we believe in the power of authentic conversations, meaningful connections, and creating a world of possibilities together. Want to be part of something bigger? Join our team of elevated listeners at usaglobaltv.com, a space where your voice matters and your ability to listen transforms relationships. Stay connected with us across all our platforms for thought-provoking discussions, expert insights, and empowering stories. Subscribe to our channels at youtube.com/c/usaglobaltv. Follow us on social media and explore the endless opportunities we're creating for growth, learning, and inspiration. Together, we're not just broadcasting, we're building bridges and changing lives one conversation at a time. For inquiries, contact us at info@usaglobaltv.com. Produced by Executive Producer and Director Dr. Jacqueline Kerbeck. Voiceover by Mike Porter. Creative direction by Paul Garcia. All rights reserved. Visit usaglobaltv.com to view our full terms and conditions.